the individual in question, Mr. Soros. He is old, rich, opinionated, and dangerous.
George Soros, the most evil man in the world? Buckle up yourself to know how he became the man who broke the Bank of England, how he became the perpetrator of Black Wednesday. For those who don't know George Soros, he is an exceptional hedge fund manager who is widely considered to be one of the most successful investors in the world. George Soros is known to the world as the man who gained $1 billion in a single day. He made it by short-selling the British pound. George Soros was born in Budapest, Hungary, on August 12, 1930. He was named Georgi Schwartz, but his dad changed his name to make it sound less Jewish due to a sharp rise in anti-Semitism in Hungary during the 1930s. In fact, he had his whole family change their names. After the Nazis occupied Hungary in March 1944, they prohibited Jewish children from going to school and forced them to work. George and his family probably avoided being sent to concentration camps by buying documents that said they were Christians. When deportations from Hungary to death camps began to soar during the Holocaust, he was reduced to hiding his Jewish identity to survive. When George was 14, he began pretending to be the Christian godson of a Hungarian government official. After the Allies defeated the Nazis, the Soviet Union eventually took control of Hungary, and George Soros didn't like their control of his country much better. By 1947, Soros had his heart set on England, and he soon moved there. He worked menial jobs while trying to get into college. Finally, he enrolled in the London School of Economics. By that time, he had become heavily influenced by the writings of the great philosopher Karl Popper. Popper's big theory gave Soros a better idea about open society. While George ate it all up, Popper was undoubtedly a big influence on George's endeavors for decades afterwards. Soros got a Master of Science in Philosophy in 1954 at the London School of Economics. Eventually, he'd go back and get a Doctor of Philosophy from the University of London. Right after college, he had a hard time even getting a job at any bank. But I eventually landed at Singer & Friedlander in London. Soros started as a clerk, but worked his way up to arbitrage. Arbitrage simply means buying and selling assets in different markets, since the same assets can have differing prices in different markets. Soros made great deals as an arbitrage. In 1956, moved to New York City, working as an arbitrage trader for the firm F.M. Mayer, followed by another firm called Wertheim & Company. At Wertheim & Q, Soros worked as an analyst of European securities. Soros began at another firm as a vice president. The firm was Arnhold and S. Bleichroeder. In the following years, he learned the art of dissertation. Because of his appreciable performance at the firm, they let him manage a small investment fund called the First Eagle Fund. In 1969, he used $4 million to set up a hedge fund named Double Eagle Fund. Now, hedge funds are investments with client money in alternative investments to either beat a market or provide a fence against unforeseen market changes. In 1973, the Double Eagle Fund had $12 million. With his great vision, he left Arnhold and S. Bleichroeder and started his hedge fund called the Soros Fund, together with his friend Jim Rogers. In the coming years, it grew to around $12 million. Gradually, they renamed the company Quantum Fund. In 1979, he established the Open Society Fund to work toward his mission of a more open society. He began to help South Africa at the beginning of the initiative. South Africa was a sensible choice because racial segregation, simply known as apartheid, was still prevailing in South Africa. He started with education and began giving out scholarships to help black students attend college there. In the mid-1980s, Soros began betting against currencies in the West. He made millions of dollars shorting the US dollar. By 1987, Soros was well known to investors around the world. Gradually, Soros began giving his Open Society Fund money away to political funding, along with funding to his homeland Hungary, Poland, and even Russia. He also secretly funded dissident movements in China. In June of that year, one journalist declared him the world's greatest money manager. He was indeed one. 1992 was a golden year for George Soros, while Britain was bleeding. His role in the 1992 currency crisis of Britain is indelible. This incident forced the British government to withdraw from the European Exchange Rate Mechanism, or ERM, and devalue its currency. This incident gave him the nickname, the man who broke the Bank of England. ERM was a monetary policy established in 1979 by the EU to stabilize the exchange rates of European currencies and prepare them to adopt a single currency, the euro. Britain initially declined to join the ERM when it was created so as to keep its monetary policy independent. But later, the UK joined the system to benefit from lower interest rates, lower inflation, and a stronger currency. But guess what? It brought a line of hurdles to Britain. It joined at a high exchange rate of 2.95 German marks per pound, which made the British pound non-competitive and wounded its economy. To counter the existing pressure, the Bank of England hiked its interest rates to attract more investors to buy the pound. Soros was critical of this action. Using his hedge fund, he borrowed billions of pounds from various banks and sold them for other currencies, such as German marks, etc. This resulted in a huge demand for other currencies and a huge supply of pounds. This further devalued the pound. The Bank of England raised its interest rates to stabilize its currency with the assistance of the British government. The attempt was to buy back pounds from the market. They would raise their interest rates to 12% from 10%, and then again to 15% to attract investors. These measures weren't enough to counteract the massive selling pressure from Soros. The British government realized that it couldn't afford to keep buying pounds at the fixed exchange rate. Thus, it decided to withdraw from the ERM and let the British pound float freely in the market. As a result, the pound plunged in value by about 15% against the mark and 25% against the dollar. Soros made a huge $1 billion in profit as a result of his successful bet against the pound. The withdrawal from the ERM was a hit to the credibility and reputation of the British government, especially the British Prime Minister John Major and the Conservative Party for ineffective fiscal management. When some praised Soros for his critical thinking and precise actions, others criticized him as a greedy and ruthless speculator who exploited the weaknesses of the monetary system and caused harm to millions of people, which resulted in inflation, unemployment, and a cut in public spending. In the following years, Soros continued to make billions of dollars in currencies in Finland, Thailand, Japan, and Malaysia, among other countries. In early 1997, he also made large profits betting against the Thai baht before the Asian financial crisis. It is estimated that he bet around $1 billion of a $12 billion portfolio that the currency would implode, which actually happened. The Malaysian Prime Minister criticized Soros for attacking Southeast Asian currencies. Mahathir Mohamad, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, made a number of anti-Semitic comments against Soros. In 2013-14, Soros shorted the Japanese yen while betting on Japanese stocks for significant amounts of profits. These bets once again gained Soros around $1 billion. His philanthropic nature is something that makes people wonder. He has donated billions of dollars to different causes through the Open Society Foundations. Much of the foundation's initial works were in Hungary. In Hungary, he awarded scholarships, provided technology assistance, and helped modernize schools and businesses. Despite Hungary being a communist state at that time, Soros obtained guarantees that his foundation could operate without government interference. Soros established foundations in Czechoslovakia, Poland, Russia, and Yugoslavia after the Cold War. In spite of criticisms, he continued to spend significant sums to help establish democracies in Eastern Europe. Soros funded tens of millions to former Soviet Union states through the Open Society Institute to promote organizations that taught the virtues of democracy and capitalism. In April 1993, he founded the Open Society Institute, which is now called Open Society Foundations and is still in operation. He was a political moderate, but in 2004, Soros was afraid of the direction that George W. Bush was taking not only the United States, but also the entire world. Soros picked a side in American politics, donating millions to defeat Bush. He later was a prominent supporter of Barack Obama. Soros also spent millions trying to defeat Donald Trump in the 2016 and 2020 elections. Now, why is he so hated? There are anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that go back to the 1990s when Eastern European nationalist leaders attacked him for going against them. Jewish people also bashed Soros since he has consistently criticized the Israeli government. Supporting some politicians from the left end of the spectrum across the world also brought him hate from people. George Soros is not yet ready to come out of his gray shade. Should he? Comment down your thoughts below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to keep up with the videos being uploaded to the channel. Until we meet again.